Our next guest that's going to come down here and speak to us works for Pandora. And I don't know, it was almost 10 years ago, the founder of Pandora, Tim Westergren, he came over to the radio station and he did an in-depth interview with us, and I got to hear his story. And what was amazing to me about it was that he pitched his company 300 some times before someone actually said, okay, let's do this. I mean, can you imagine the 100th time someone's like, no, that's a terrible idea. Get out of here. The 200th time, people are like, no way. 250. I mean, he just kept going. And so that's pretty impressive there. And we're definitely very excited to have Lars Murray here. He's Senior Vice President, and he's kind of new to Pandora. He has over a 20-year career in digital music. Last year, he left Columbia Records to join Pandora, and tonight he joins us. Please give it up for Lars Murray.
All right, that's great to great to be here for the second time in 2 weeks. We had a great show last week at the AMA Fest with Glenn Hansard and J.D. McPherson and also Josh Ritter. Really great show. So it's a real treat to be back in Nashville 2 weeks in a row. A lot of my friends are moving here, and I can very much understand why. So this is sort of like a speed date. Got a lot of ground to cover here, but I just wanted to take a few minutes to let you guys know what's going on at Pandora. I started there about a year ago, a year and a month to be exact. Pandora spent about the first 9 years of its development building a huge audience. When I was working at Columbia Records, I would call up Pandora. I had a vague idea that there were a lot of people there. But I didn't know how many, and I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know who to talk to about what. So about a year ago, coming off of a really good year and trying to decide what I was going to do next with my career, I got a call from them, and they said, well, we're putting together a position, we're putting together a team to actually try and demonstrate and try and work more closely with artists, because they really hadn't focused on that for a long time. So when I heard that, it just, the light bulb went off, and I felt like a very lucky guy to be in that position. So we've spent the last year building a team, spent the last year doing a lot of experimentation. We're just getting started, but I just want to be, I'm really looking forward to doing more work with everybody around here. I'm just going to run you through some of the programs, who I am. I've told you a little bit about that. I spent 20 years in the music industry. Started out with a little independent label called Rykodisc about 25 years ago. I later worked at Virgin Records and worked at Columbia Records, and I've always been very passionate about artist development. That was really where my sweet spot was. It's a lot of fun to work with big hits, and no doubt I've gotten to do that, but there's nothing better than developing an artist from scratch. There's nothing more satisfying, there's nothing more personal, and that's what we're aiming to do here. So just a few things. Whoa. There's nothing more rock and roll than PowerPoint in a rock club. Well, very interesting. Microsoft PowerPoint has encountered a problem and is closed. Straight to the QA. All right. Wow. So I'm going to attempt to do this without slides. Take that. All right. Okay, we're going to change this up a little. All right, I just want to do a little poll of the crowd here. So how many people here are artists? How many people here work with artists? Excellent. This is good. This is good. How many of you have music on Pandora? Okay, that's quite a few. I bet more of you actually have music on Pandora than actually know it. Another question. How many of you know how many times your music has been played on Pandora in the last week? None of you. Okay, well, that's why I'm here. So a year ago when I got to Pandora, we had 80 million users or so. We had 125,000 artists being played on the system. and none of them knew how many times they were getting played or anything about where those people were. So when I was talking to Pandora about going to work there, I had my doubts. I was wondering, what actually, are we going to be able to do for artists? I mean, when I first started hearing about Pandora, I thought, well, it's a machine, it's an algorithm. What I didn't know was that everything that goes onto the system is listened to by 3 people, that they assign purely musical and not cultural attributes, 350 of them, to every piece of music that goes into the system. I didn't know any of this stuff, and that's why we're with Who Knew. So I also didn't know that there were 80 million people there every month. I didn't know that there were roughly 25 million people there practically every day. I didn't know that Pandora was basically accounted for about 10% of all the radio listening in the United States in any given month, which is kind of mind-boggling. So when I found out all of this stuff, I had one question. So why didn't I know this? Nobody was telling me. When I called Pandora, I might get the sales department, I might get somebody who would ask me to have an artist do an event, but I really didn't know how, if there was any way that we could take advantage of that. When I got there, they showed me something called the artist dashboard, and I'm going to, if I have one slide that I can show, it's going to be the URL amp.pandora.com. And this is where artists can go. Every single artist on Pandora can go and check out their statistics and actually access marketing tools. So let's skip ahead a little bit if we can. Pandora Amp, there we are. Okay, so what Amp does, well, we can go back one, that's good. What Amp does is it allows you to know your fans. Tom Truitt, ladies and gentlemen. It allows you to know your fans, it allows you to market to your fans, and it allows you to engage your fans. And so this is something that wasn't possible before on Pandora or any other platform. When I saw it before I took the job, I went eureka and said, I really have to work there. So anybody who manages a band, anybody who is in a band, anybody who's a recording artist at all, if you are Twitter verified, you should go to amp.pandora.com and you can access your stats. And there are other things you can access too. You can find out where your people are. You can find out what their demographics are. You can also do some other cool things that we've just introduced in the last few months. One of which is called featured tracks. So something to understand about Pandora is that anytime somebody starts a station with your name on it, that person turns into an addressable audience for you. That means that you can actually market to them. So a station create on Pandora is essentially like a Facebook like or a Twitter follow. I'm going to run back here a little just to show you some of the local artists, what their audiences look like on Pandora. So, for instance, Casey Musgraves, she's got 701,000 station ads. Think about that. That's 700,000 people who have said, I want to start a station based on Casey Musgraves. And if you compare that to her Facebook likes, there's about 600,000 right there. Now, what's really great about the station start is that the station start is a demonstration that somebody wants to hear her music. It's not just a little like. What we've enabled people to do is to take these station starts to actually address that audience and do things with them, to allow them to feature tracks. So now we've just developed a feature called featured tracks. It allows an artist to go in and say, look, I want this song to spin a little more. I want it to spin on my station more than the other tracks. So if you have a new single, you put it into the system, and then you can spin it up more. That's a big thing that really helps to drive audience to new music. Artist audio messaging. So every artist on Pandora has an artist station, every single one of them. So if you have a song that's on Pandora, somebody can start a station based on that song. What we've introduced over the last few months is something called artist audio messaging. So when you go into your dashboard, you can actually record a message and place it on your station or next to your song and it will play, during when somebody's listening to the radio, it'll come up. So if you've got an announcement you want to make about a new album, about a new tour or anything like that, you can address those people. So if you're Casey Musgraves with 700,000 people who've done a station start, you've got 700,000 possible audience for this thing. Content programs. One of the things that we set out to do when I started at Pandora was to try and demonstrate real value and how do we sell records, because that's what I always asked of Pandora, and that's what everybody else always did too. So when I left Columbia, I'd been working with Jack White at Columbia. We launched Lazaretto the week before I left. Very happy with that, #1 record. Really loved working with that team, with the Third Man team. So I promised Columbia that when I went to Pandora that I would try and bring it back home. So one of the things that I did was, when we found out that he was playing Madison Square Garden, we decided that we were going to help Columbia amplify that, Columbia and Third Man amplify that. So we put together a station on Pandora that was curated by Jack and Third Man. They were able to put Third Man artists on this station. We promoted the hell out of it. Those artists were up on average about 600%. So, Pokey Lafarge was getting, his numbers went crazy, and he got more exposure out of this, and so did Jack. We managed in a week or so to basically double the size of Jack's station ads on Pandora, which was an incredibly monumental thing, and that's great for us. It was great for Jack. It was engagement, it was more listening, but here's what really is exciting about this. Through the promotion and through amplifying Jack's Madison Square Garden concert on our platform only, nationally, we drove a 40% SoundScan lift that week. So I saw that. I looked through my eyes when I looked at SoundScan that week. I didn't know what I was going to see, and 40%. Now, what was really great about that is that, I was like, well, yeah, that's great, but maybe everybody does that. So we went back, we compared them against other artists who had played Madison Square Garden for the first time, Black Keys, Arctic Monkeys, and Kings of Leon, and the average was about 10% lift. So we're demonstrating on a daily, weekly basis that we can move the needle. I'm running short. We lost our slides a little bit. I'm actually over, but I just want to talk about another thing we're doing. It's a band called Deza, which is an electronic duo. You may know them, out of Seattle. Their collective audience on Pandora to date this year is about 300 million spins. So on terrestrial radio, they've received about 7 million in total audience. Our total audience is 300 million. We identified these guys early, and we decided to take a bet on them and start helping them out specifically. So we booked them to headline our South by Southwest Discovery Den, and then we talked to them about getting involved with their tour. We announced their tour in August. They created a station which is going to live for the rest of the year. The day that we announced the tour, we sold out. We sold out New York in 18 minutes at Terminal 5. They subsequently added not one, but 2 extra dates to Terminal 5, and they've added a 3rd one now. This is moving the needle. This is how we use Pandora to actually raise the bar, to make money. These are the kinds of things that we're starting to, just in the past year, do. So I'm very proud to be there. We've got a lot more experiments. My time is up, and thank you for tolerating my rock club, punk rock PowerPoint presentation.
Awesome. Good stuff, Lars. Thank you very much.